Hey y'all, hey. Welcome to Peaches and Pressure. I'm Peaches, and I'll be applying the pressure today. I'll be your host for this episode, and along the way, we'll have some guests, but today's episode is basically for us to get better acquainted with each other and share some thoughts. That's right, just me and you. Now, this podcast got its name because, one, we're going to talk about sweet things, and we're also going to apply pressure with hard topics. True to the mantra, I'll go ahead and get into the topic for today, which is emotional regulation. Has anyone ever heard of emotional regulation? If you haven't, it doesn't mean you're behind the curve or ignorant on this topic. A lot of us have either never heard of this or heard about it in adulthood, usually in reference to child rearing. I'm going to go ahead and give you the textbook definition of emotional regulation so you know what it is. Now, emotional regulation is a term generally used to describe a person's ability to effectively manage and respond to an emotional experience or stressor. So, people subconsciously use emotional regulation strategies to cope with things that happen throughout their day and life. But since we kind of don't know the proper way to do it, we kind of go about it in an unhealthy way. Now, we can divide the responses into healthy regulation and unhealthy to help you better understand and give some examples, right? Now, some healthy emotional regulation could include, but they're not limited to, exercising, writing in a journal, meditation, therapy, taking care of yourself, self-care, y'all, getting adequate sleep, and my personal favorite that I talk to you guys about all the time is noticing when you need a break and taking that break, right? Pay attention to negative thoughts that occur before and after strong emotions so you can better get a hold on what's triggering you, right? Now, some unhealthy ways, which majority of us use because, again, we either don't know what emotional regulation is in a safe environment or we just didn't take the time to fully process it, right? Now, unhealthy ways are abusing alcohol or drugs, self-injury, physical or verbal aggression, or, and this is a new one because we're in an age of technology now, excessively using social media. I mean, like, to a point where you negate your other responsibilities in life. And that happens. Now, the reason a lot of us may not know it because our parents didn't teach it to us, because they didn't know it. So it's kind of like a revolving cycle. And a lot of us may not even know that one of our most important and main goals when we are parents is to help our children learn how to emotionally regulate themselves so that they can navigate the world properly, so they can understand themselves properly, so that they don't reach for outward love and understanding from other people. Emotional regulation. Now, a lot of us miss the mark on this, and we usually find out about it when our kids are older and they're telling us what they wish they would have had, an ear to talk to, a person to come to, those sort of things. And by the time they're old enough to tell us what they're lacking in that department, it's kind of like a crapshoot at that point. It's 50-50 because habits are already formed. It doesn't mean that we can't try, but majority of the habits are already formed. A lot of our parents did their best trying to help us, but again, they weren't aware and didn't live in the age of technology like we do. So give them a little bit of grace with this topic and a little bit of understanding on what they lack. Now, being able to express yourself in a healthy way is super important and can change the course of your day or even life. One thing that I personally practice self-regulation with is my children. Like, I never parent them when I'm having a meltdown or frustrating day because I'm not making a rational decision at that point. If we're both yelling, like, meanwhile, they are a child and their problem in their world is major to them. They're frustrated. And it's my job to coach them through this emotion that they're feeling or this difficult time that they're having because, again, it might be small to me, but in their world, it's like a big deal. Now, After I coach them down and I can help them find a solution for what they are feeling, they are also learning in that process how to emotionally regulate with and without me, right? It's like a double-edged sword with that, but in a good way. I take a few deep breaths. This is me regulating in a healthy way. Meditation almost. I'm taking a few deep breaths and I'm thinking outside of myself in that moment. When I'm calm, when I'm together, I can ask those probing questions that help them explore what they're feeling. Like, why did you do this? What are you feeling? When that happened, what did it make you feel? What do you think that we can do to make this better situation for you? A better situation for you. Versus just raising my voice at whatever the situation is at the moment and going on. You want to instill in your child reverence, but never fear, because this teaches them to hide things, bottle up emotions, and not communicate effectively. And that's absolutely not what you want, right? Now, that's emotional regulation on a parenting tip. But when we are dealing with Karens and bosses who seemingly undervalue us, we can center ourselves and use emotional regulation at that point as well. Take those breaks or step away and calmly come back to the conversation to communicate our needs well, because when we're in that space and not properly looking at the situation or not looking past the anger that we feel, emotionally regulating ourselves, we tend to blurt out things that aren't really why we're upset or what we're really upset about, and it's still not getting to the core of what we're needing so the situation doesn't happen again, or so the situation can be resolved in a way that's conducive for us or both parties, right? Now, realistically, this takes practice, and far too often we get caught up in the most benign situations. We get angry, we get frustrated, and can't communicate what we are actually feeling entirely or what we need entirely. Now, if today was your first time hearing about emotional regulation, like at all ever, take some time to try it out. You can do it with your kids if you haven't. If you don't, in your environment, whenever you are feeling overwhelmed or whenever you're feeling angry or you're just feeling an overall sense of this is too much. Regulate your emotions and touch the topic. The boss, the friend, or other situations afterwards, and see how much more straightening you can accomplish. The most powerful tool that we have is our voices and our ways of communicating. Communication runs the nation. I'm sure y'all done heard that before. So, that being said, that wraps it up for today's episode. If you'd like to go deeper into this topic or have more questions about this topic, I have additional resources linked in the description box below. If you're getting value from this show or have feedback, please feel free to reach out to me via impeaches__, or you can send me an email at peachesandpressure@gmail.com. Go ahead and leave us a rating. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you guys next time.